This guy's videos, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty interesting stuff.
So if you are about my age, Generation Z, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger, you have probably had experience with job searching nowadays, and it is tough. The job market out there is really rough, and one of the struggles, especially for people like me, where
I gotta put this on 1.5.
we don't
Holy
exactly
shit, my legs fell asleep.
one or the other. And I think, especially for the people watching this channel, people who are more into the esoteric fringe science side of things, it can often be hard for us to decide and figure out what we really want to do with our lives, what job would be best for us. We look at the selection out there, and it's these weird modern terms, these jobs that didn't exist in the past: data analysis and AI prompt generator and salesman, all this weird stuff. And so it can be very difficult to discern what you want to do with your life and what you were put here to do, what your destiny is. Now, as a metaphysical idealist, I believe that this is not just random happenstance. We aren't just bags of meat made of star stuff just floating around on a spinning ball of rock. I believe that you were put here for a purpose. Every person was put here for a purpose, and the creator of your nature
What's your purpose, Don Strauss?
is the same as the author of your destiny. So logically, the two would align. As a professional facial analyst and physiognomist, this is something I get into a lot with my clients, talking with them about how your face reveals your personality.
Why are you using a wooden chair? Bro, this is all I have. This is all I have. This chair right here, this is all I got.
Which then reveals your inborn nature and what you were meant to do. Now, there are a lot of different angles to take with this, but one that I have been diving into recently that has generated a lot of interest on this channel for my fans has been the angle of caste, using these older, medieval, or ancient religious, political, and spiritual systems that talk about humanity as being divided into castes. In my last video on this topic, I talked about the four castes, and I reframed them.
Bro, should we go back to the caste system? We might have to go back to the caste system. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I think there are peasants in this world. You know, there are merchants, there are warriors, there are priests, there are different kind of people in this world that fits like those archetypes. So the caste system isn't really is to me it's not that like insane of an idea. The only problem that I could really think about it is that like some people are that like they're in the wrong caste, but there's probably a solution to that, right?
As less of a sociological thing and more of a thing of natural interest, with your true caste being determined not so much by your birth or your current social status, but rather by your natural inborn interests, which are shown in your thoughts, what you're...
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He literally explained it way better than I could.
Interested in, what you like to read, what you do in your daily life, and also even in your appearance, since the body and the brain are intertwined. It's one holistic genetic system. And while these various systems of class and caste are very ancient, I believe that they are still applicable to us today, because while technology and society has rapidly changed, even just over the past 200 years, for the past 5,000 years or longer of civilization, our bodies and souls have remained mostly the same. I believe that you still have the same ancient archetypes of priests, warriors, merchants, peasants, and whatnot, circulating around in human society in the gene pool, being born, dying, and then being born again in new generations.
None of these guys look like me. Nah, this is an example. This is an example. He's gonna get deeper into it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I look like any of these guys either, do I? Don't tell me I look like this one. See, this is merchant, obviously Jewish. Peasant, fuck, bro. I might be a peasant. I'm not gonna lie. Or am I a priest? Or am I Nick Fuentes? Maybe warrior class. I feel like a lot of Mexicans would fit under the warrior class.
And specifically, as I mentioned before, there are broadly
Latin Americans. Well, actually, no, not Argentinians. I feel like a lot of Argentinians wouldn't fit that. Maybe not a lot of Colombians. I feel like a lot of Mexicans for sure would fit that.
Four kinds of people, four castes based on four general interests. You have the first estate, the clergy.
Fucking, is that a nose? 90% knows.
Clergy or Brahmins, who are people primarily interested in ideas, in truth, and religion. Then you have the second estate, the nobility or kshatriyas, those who are primarily interested in power and politics.
Alright, hold on. Alright, let me slow it down a little bit.
Born again in new generations. And specifically, as I mentioned before, there are broadly four kinds of people, four castes based on four general interests. You have the first estate, the clergy or Brahmins, who are people primarily interested in ideas, in truth, and religion. Then you have the second estate, the nobility or kshatriyas, those who are primarily interested in power and politics. Then you have the third estate, the bourgeoisie and the vaishyas, who are primarily interested in trade, commerce, technology as well. And then finally, you have everyone else, the peasantry or the shudras, those who are mostly interested in folk, in culture, in their ordinary day-to-day life, their friends, families, creature comforts, those sorts of things. Now, I outlined this very
Culture,
broad system
family.
in my last video, but in that video, I alluded to there being a lot more nuance and complexity within the system. And
Not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. It's just what you want to do.
a lot of people were asking about that in the comments. So today I will be expanding upon this system and going into the other dimension of it, the y-axis, if you will. We already have the x-axis of the 4 casts. Now I will expand on the 16 archetypes within each of these casts. You have 4 sub-casts.
All right, if you guys are watching this right now, let me know which one do you think you fall under.
Or 4 archetypes within each cast, reflecting on 4 different directions or orientations that someone can take these general interests. Yes, while 2 people might both be clerics, they might both be Brahmins in the sense that they're interested in religion, their inborn temperament and attitudes and orientation towards life may lead them to express or explore this interest in 2 radically different ways, and this is something that cannot be ignored.
I guess I'm a peasant.
Especially if you're looking to determine your archetype in order to
Fuck it, bro.
find out what job is best for you. Because while unfortunately we no longer live in ancient Mesopotamia, so if you're a natural priest, you can't exactly get a job sacrificing sheep and interpreting the spots in their livers, there are, I believe, still jobs out there that do appeal to this priest type, to these people who are naturally interested in divine truth.
But like he said that's just the y-axis. You know, so there's peasants and whatever, right? But there's still like things that could apply to you in the peasant thing, whatever.
Ideas and in philosophy. So today we will be going through all 16 of these archetypes and talking about various historical examples of them.
I'm a peasant too. We'll just say I'm a peasant too.
In order to flesh out their personalities.
But I'm gonna see which one I would want to, or which ones I would like to.
And help you determine which one you are. So what are these 4 divisions within the cast, this second dimension that we're adding on to our chart here? Well, if the 4 casts are based on 4 interests, these 4 orientations, or even 4 temperaments, are then...
What? What? Okay. So here we got... Here, let's see. Here we got first, establish, advance, reform, heal, guard, heal, grow, build? The fuck does this even mean? First estate, clergy, priesthood, okay? Religion, nobility, politics. Third estate, economics, like traders, merchants. Fourth estate, peasantry, plain folk, shudra, culture. Okay. Interesting. I see what he's saying now.
Based on how you interact with this interest, what you do with this interest, and how you serve it. The first orientation, which we can associate with the choleric temperament, is the building orientation, wanting to found or establish or build something new within your caste and its core interest. The second orientation, which we can correlate with the sanguine temperament, is the drive to advance and spread your core interest. The third orientation...
Wait, which one am I? I was looking at myself the other day, and I was trying to determine like what kind of face I got. So which one am I? Which one am I, chat? Am I this one? Hold up.
Which we can correlate with.
Am I chloric? Wait, is this even the? Wait, I can't even see. I can't even see I can't see myself. Am I chloric?
Is the build.
Fuck!
That would become a lifelong thorn in his side.
Your face is too round. It's because I'm fat, bro. It's because I'm fat.
Mention that we're adding on to our chart here. Well,
okay. Alright. No, from the side, though. From the side. You're saying my jaw is too round? Oh, shit. Alright, am I chloric?
Wanting to found or establish or build something new within your caste and its core interest.
Alright, so if you have the angular jaw, pretty normal chin, okay, an obtuse angled jaw, normal chin doesn't really stick out, pretty normal, not recessed, and oval round forehead, you're the builder. You're the builder of your caste. You know, you want to get out of your caste. You want to...
The second found or...
You want to break your caste.
establish or build something new within your caste and its
Oh no, within the caste.
core interest. The second orientation, which we can correlate with the sanguine temperament, is the drive to advance and spread your core interest.
Ah, advance. So this is advance and spread. I don't think I'm this one. Am I?
Can correlate with the sanguine temperament is the drive to advance and spread your core interest. The third orientation, which we can correlate with the melancholic temperament, is somewhat the opposite of that second drive to go out and spread. It is instead a drive to
So this like you're chill.
go inward and to reform the established system, to heal it, if you will. And then finally, the fourth
Like a healer. But why are these women? Am I melancholic? Oh my god, wait, no, I know why it's woman. Cause they have womanly features. Holy shit. Do I have a womanly face? I might have a woman's physiognomy, I'm not gonna lie.
to reform the
I feel like this low-key looks like me.
established system, to heal it, if you will.
My chin is probably just like better.
And then finally, the fourth orientation,
Holy fat ass!
which we can associate with the phlegmatic temperament, is the drive to stabilize and maintain this system, going against both the second orientation, seeking to spread out,
That's not me,
and
bro.
the third orientation, seeking to go in and change
That's
the
not
internals. The fourth orientation seeks to steady and stabilize everything and set things in their place and maintain the current structure. And so with that framing in mind, you can probably already start to understand how you can apply each of these four orientations to these four interests in the field of religion, politics, economics, and culture. But I'm going to get into the specific details of each of these new 16 types, starting with the first estate, the Brahmin clergy. Now, the first type here is the wizard, also known as a theologian. They seek to build the faith or establish religion. Historical examples would be Plato, St. Thomas Aquinas, Paracelsus, Karl Marx, Rene Guénon, Aleister Crowley, J.R.R. Tolkien. I put him there because
Holy goats!
he was very much interested in creating his own world with its own mythology and moral frame. In addition to Menachem Schneerson, I don't know too much about the
Oh my god, Rabbi Schneerson?
Chabad Lubavitch theology and history. I know he didn't found it. It came about in the 1600s in Eastern Europe and Russia, but I do
But he definitely pushed it.
believe that he was a revolutionary enough figure within this community, and he is so widely revered that I would put him in this spot as the one who builds the faith and establishes the religion. Wizard people are the priests of priests. They are the most high-minded, the most philosophical, the most abstract, the most oriented towards intellectual purity and honesty. They may be into convention.
So like when So question, is this like an at birth type of thing, or you like develop into this kind of person? So like am I supposed to, like, for example, if I'm the wizard archetype or whatever, or like, am I already supposed to be a wizard, or am I going to become a wizard?
Theology and organized religion, or they may be into occultism, as is the case with Aleister Crowley, like I mentioned. The second archetype is the prophet, the one who seeks to grow the faith and to advance religion. These people don't so much discern or discuss
So I assume he's going to go into the physiognomy of every type?
their own divine truth. They hear a divine truth, or they receive a certain religious or spiritual or intellectual tradition from someone else, but then they are driven to go out and spread the word of it and tell people that they're doing wrong and they need to align themselves with that which is right. Historical examples would be John the Baptist, Muhammad, Martin Luther, Leon Trotsky, I believe. You could make some arguments that maybe he would fit more in the warrior caste there, but I think him and a lot of the other communist leaders
Bro, he looks so much like Sam Hyde, it's uncanny.
were very much the prophets of Karl Marx, the missionaries or apostles of Karl Marx. Then on the opposite side, you have someone like Solzhenitsyn, who was more of this condemnatory prophet, more of the Old Testament style prophet, standing athwart the evil empire, saying, stop, this is unrighteous. And on the more conventional, less dramatic side, you have someone like Billy Graham, plain old preacher, just telling people to come to Jesus. I would say also that Sam Hyde is probably of this
Holy shit. He literally looks like Trotsky.
type. He tries to hide his sincerity and vulnerability under thick layers of irony, but
Yeah, he's a little jokester. He's a little jester.
you can tell, especially in his more recent stuff, as he's become more explicitly political, and he's always been this way, he's very convicted, he's very emotional and sensitive. You can see it in his face and even in his mannerisms
Yeah, with them red-ass lips.
and how he acts. He has very strong moral convictions, and once you understand that, you can really see that coming out in his work, where he is clearly not just doing things just because they're funny. I think Nick Rochefort does that a lot better. I think he's a better comedian, per se, but Sam Hyde is a better artist, especially in that prophetic sense of standing athwart the evil empire,
right.
mocking that which is evil, and trying trying to push people towards that which is good,
I
even if
agree.
it's in his own weird, distorted way. The third archetype is the shaman, the one who seeks to heal the faith or reform religion. Shamans are very introspective and introverted. The shaman type was actually one of the first that I discovered when I was discerning this system. I was looking into the overlapping of physiognomy, temperaments, these different levels of interests, ancient caste systems, and I noticed that there was a specific type of very lanky, long-faced, gaunt guy who was quite neurotic, and quick thinking, and very deep in a spiritual sense, and very strongly convicted about spiritual and moral matters. And I called it the shaman type, and I feel that I've been vindicated with this. Historical examples would include St. Francis of Assisi, the Islamic poet Rumi, and a lot of the other Sufis as well. Carl Jung, I think very big on the introspective side. These people are very into anything introspective, anything psychedelic, anything shamanistic. They're looking inward to try and find the new truth to correct their religious others. Not spread the word of an established religion, but to try and reform and add nuance and care and concern and empathy to the established religion. I would also say that two modern examples would be Terry A. Davis. I know Terry A. Davis had a lot of technical expertise, but you can tell that that was secondary. He
Who the fuck is this?
wasn't a true merchant
Is
or
this
tradesman.
me? What do you think this guy is? The guy right now, the guy who's talking. I think we have to. You don't know Terry? No, I don't. Wait, what's his name? Terry
To
what?
the established religion. I would also say that two modern examples would be Terry A. Davis. I know
Terry A. Davis. Huh. Okay, let's make a little tab. Terry A. Davis. American engineer, computer programmer. What? How? All right, we'll keep a tab. What the fuck? We'll keep a tab on him.
Terry A. Davis had a lot of technical expertise, but you can tell that that was secondary. He wasn't a true merchant or tradesman. His primary interest, at least after he went crazy, was in religion and in spiritual truth. And he went inward, or in his case, inward into the computer to try and find that truth from God and give it to people. I mentioned Sam Hyde on the last one. I would say that Charles Carroll is definitely a great example of a shaman type and of shaman physiognomy. Very
This guy, I feel like this guy gives me like, I feel like he would fall under this type of like, not shaman, but like this kind of archetype. Either he doesn't give like priest, he doesn't give shaman. I think he's more like of a prophet like type of guy. Like he helps people understand like in a way. And I feel like that's how he looks like. Cause he doesn't look really like a king. He doesn't look like a knight. He doesn't look like a guard. I guess. No. Huntsman, the bard, the commoner. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's too smart to be any of the others. He gives me like magic wizard like type vibes, but not like wizard. Or maybe wizard. No. I see him more like a prophet like type of guy. But definitely under this sect right here, the green ones.
gaunt, lanky. He's a short little guy if you meet him in person. He's shorter than me even. I'm only like 5'4". And especially with that gaunt face and those neurotic mannerisms and that very frantically convicted way he speaks, he's very shamanistic. I could see him channeling energies from other planes while he talks. The last type for the clergy is the priest.
Who? Who the fuck was that?
To try and find that truth from God and give it to people. I mentioned Sam Hyde on the last one. I would say that Charles Carroll is definitely a great
Or maybe he is a shaman.
example. Truth from God and give it to people. I mentioned Sam Hyde on the last one. I would say that Charles Carroll is definitely a
Charles Carroll. Okay, let me wait. What the fuck is he? Let me tab that too. Dude, this is not the right guy.
great example of a shaman type and of shaman physiognomy. Very gaunt, lanky. He's a short little guy if you meet him in person. He's shorter than me even. I'm only like 5'4". And especially with that gaunt face and those
Shorter than 5'4" is insane.
neurotic mannerisms and that very frantically convicted way he speaks. He's very shamanistic. I could see him channeling energies from other planes while he talks. The last type for the clergy is the priest, the one who seeks to keep the faith and maintain religion. This is going to be a running theme with a lot of these fourth type.
Oh my God, if Dead Melon is back.
People, these phlegmatic or maintaining orientation people, in is that there's not too many famous examples because by definition these people are going to be ones who don't really rock the boat. They just seek to keep the established order. So when I say these types, regardless of the cast, you're going to be able to think of a lot of examples in your life that you know, but it's going to be difficult to find historical examples of these people. A few that I could suss out for the priest archetype would be Saint Benedict, very monastic, very into the keeping the rigid order and establishing that. Maimonides, theological, but he mostly established and set in place and reinforced an existing orthodoxy. Similarly, I would say C.S. Lewis, not too focused on creating totally new and original worlds.
So the priests are pretty much the ones that keep the order.
Or on these theological revelations or new discoveries, but more so on conveying the established orthodoxy, not to new converts, but to existing believers to try and catechize them into deeper belief. I would also say that Pope Leo XIV is of this type. A lot of popes are of this stable priest type rather than any of the higher types, but there certainly have been popes from each of the cleric types and even some popes from the other castes as well. Especially in the Renaissance, you had some warrior popes, some merchant popes, but nowadays popes are generally picked to not rock the boat so much, so they're mostly that stable priest type. Now we get to the second estate, the Kshatriya nobility. The first type we have here is the king or the queen, let's be inclusive, the one who seeks to build.
So do you guys see yourself more as a clergy or nobility?
The kingdom and establish power. When I think of these types in my life, the people I know of this type, I really think of networkers. The true king types in the spiritual sense, in the archetypal sense, not in the literal sense of an actual king, but in the sense of someone who fulfills this archetype in their life. These are people who want to bring other people together for a political or social purpose. So a lot of community organizers would be of this king type. Some politicians would be of this type, but really I think
my presents pay your bills. Bro, you think I'm making money? Oh my God, bro.
A lot of these political actors going behind the scenes, some of these lobbyists would be more of these king types. And if you understand the American system, you know that the lobbyists are the real power behind the throne. The politicians are just puppets. But of course, that's just the expression of the king archetype within a modern democratic system. And when you look throughout history, the king examples are pretty obvious because, especially in times of crisis, they tend to really rapidly rise to the top. Yep. You can look at Caesar, Charlemagne, Napoleon Bonaparte, Otto von Bismarck, more than any of the actual Prussian or German emperors.
Yeah, the kings are obvious.
He was a great example of that. Vladimir Lenin, for a very much not royal example, Adolf Hitler as well, and FDR. Next up, we have the knight, the one who seeks to grow the kingdom and advance power. A lot of great conquerors and generals fall into here. People like Teddy Roosevelt in some regards, definitely James K. Polk, Genghis Khan, T.E. Lawrence of Arabia. This wandering warrior attitude very much fits with him. A lot of the cowboys throughout history, and George Patton, I think, as well. I think he fits best with that. Next, you have the prince, the one who seeks to heal the kingdom or reform power. This is the least political and definitely the least military of the noble types, of the warrior caste archetypes. You'll find these...
Yes, bro, I'm gringo.
Types much more in areas of social reform. Saul Alinsky, I think, would have been one of these types, as well as Michel Foucault. A lot of philosophers belong to this type.
Wait, hold
That's
on.
with that. Next, you have...
I missed what the guy said.
Prince, the one who seeks to heal the kingdom or reform power.
Heal the kingdom.
This is the least political and definitely the least military of the noble types, of the warrior caste archetypes. You'll find these types much more in areas of social reform. Saul Alinsky, I think, would have been one of these types, as well as Michel Foucault. A lot of philosophers belong to this type. You could also call this the philosopher. That kind of blurs the line between this and the priest caste, but if they're philosophers who are political philosophers more than anything else interested in social reform, they would be here.
So like Martin Luther King?
Here. So for example, a lot of the postmodernists who are very much into reforming and changing society would fit here, but someone like Nietzsche or Schopenhauer would more likely belong to the wizard archetype because they're more about telling you about this whole new system and way of looking at life and way of morality, and they're less interested in specific reforms to society or politics. Examples throughout history would be Teddy Roosevelt as well. I think he rides the line between knight and prince. He was very big on external expansion, but also big on internal reforms, so he's a very complex figure. Andrew Jackson as well, kind of an unusual pick, but he was very big on internal reforms, and although you might
So you can be multiple guys.
assign him to the knight, he actually didn't do that much territorial expansion or conquering. He is more on changing the internal dynamics of the United States. A similar presidential figure would be John F. Kennedy, very big on internal reforms, and he has really solid prince physiognomy, unlike Andrew Jackson, in my opinion.
JFK does give Prince energy.
Prince type people that I know are, when male, very much lover boys, very romantic. They'll have that Venus face shape and just be very Venusian in their attitude and demeanor. Very refined, very artsy, great taste. Lastly, for the warrior caste, we get to the guard or guardsman. This is the one who seeks to keep the kingdom, to maintain power, not for themselves, but for the greater system that they serve. These people have political and military chops, but they're true establishmentarians. And
I was about to say, so there's like military type people.
they use their intellect and their ability, even their fighting ability, in order to maintain the system that has been set up before them by kings, then expanded by knights, then reformed by princes. After all that is done, they seek to hold the system in place. Historical examples would include a lot of the soldiers,
Like police officers.
Praetorian Guard, many historical conservative figures such as Cato, Cicero, Brutus, the other people who killed Caesar. More modern examples would be Dwight Eisenhower, George H.W. Bush, as well as, I believe, Joseph Stalin, although there's a case to be made for him being more of a knight, more about expanding his power. But in my analysis, I really emphasize his relative conservatism, socialism in one country, and wanting to maintain Soviet power. But again, there is an argument for him being more of a knight. I think a really solid example of a guardsman in charge of a country would be Vladimir Putin. Very cautious, very paranoid, very resistant to any sort of change or reform, and very hesitant to
I feel like Putin's low-key a W. Not high-key. I feel like he's high-key a W. Putin seems like a cool guy.
withdraw or change course once he's made a mistake, as we've seen in the past 4 years in Ukraine. Now we get to the third estate, the Vaishya bourgeoisie. The first type here is the architect, the one who seeks to build the trade and
All right, so these are like we're getting closer to like common folk. These are like the merchants, the traders, the people who interact with day-to-day society.
establish commerce. These are a lot of the great entrepreneurs and inventors throughout history. John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Walt Disney, I would say, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, all the tech CEOs, I think, are here. You could make a case for Donald Trump being here as well, but he hasn't really built so much.
I wouldn't put Trump there.
I think he more so fits with the next type, the merchant, the one who seeks to
For sure, yeah.
grow the trade and spread commerce. This, I think, would be Donald Trump because this is the natural salesman type. These are go-betweens. If you ever meet with a business consultant, someone who talks in terms of wanting to make you more money, that's a merchant. An architect truly is more about building something up, building their own skills, their own technology, and making money for their own industry, company, guild, what have you. The merchant is a true mercurial go-between middleman. So you see a lot of salesmen in that type. I would say Jeff Bezos is kind of in this type in some ways, kind of an architect in other ways, with how much Amazon serves as a middleman service, with Amazon Web Services being very important, big part of their business that a lot of people don't really focus on. I would say that a lot of motivational speaker types would fit into this. Either of the Robbinses, Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins.
Yeah, like the snakes. What's it called? The snake oil salesman.
No relation, just a weird coincidence. I think they both fit that merchant type of the big mouth salesman. That's the merchant. Now the 11th archetype is an interesting one. I like this one. It's very distinct. It's the tinkerer, the one who seeks to heal the trade, to reform commerce. Now if you
see, this sounds cool. I don't know why this sounds really cool.
remember in my first video on this, I associate the third estate with the melancholic temperament. Very quick, witty, mercurial, sharp. But then, of course, this level...
Holy shit, wait, isn't this me?
This orientation of it, the healing or reforming orientation, is also associated with the melancholic temperament. So this one is double melancholic, true melancholic. In the same way that the priest is true phlegmatic and the knight is true sanguine, this is the true melancholic type. And a lot of the people I know in this, they often have that melancholic physiognomy. Gaunt, lanky. You think of Christian Bale in The Machinist. That's an extreme bodily example, but you can very much tell it from the facial physiognomy. They'll have quite small, deep-set, and close-set eyes, which indicate high attention to details. They're very winnowing, distrusting, and very, very detail-oriented, very nitpicky, and that's what makes them good at their jobs. I find a lot of computer programmers have this type, a lot of engineers, the best engineers have this type. In the past, these would have been tinkerers and craftsmen, watchmakers, these jobs that require a lot of precision and technical expertise. And these are really the types who want to sink themselves into their trade and into their technology, into their skills, for the sake of
I don't know, this ain't me though. This for sure not me.
perfecting the art of their craft and of elevating it to the next level. You can think of someone like Nikola Tesla or his rival, Thomas Edison. I mentioned Steve Jobs earlier. Steve Wozniak, I think, is a good contrast, where Steve Jobs was the architect, the builder. Steve Wozniak was the tinkerer. So you have two people within the third estate, within the Vaishya caste. You have Steve Jobs, who is more of the corporate side, the leader, the establishment person, and you have Steve Wozniak, more of the reformed person, more of the technically minded person. It's a common duality that you find in these areas. Now, if you can't tell from the music, I am a Dwarf Fortress fan, and so I think that Tarn Adams, the creator of Dwarf Fortress, is a great example of a tinkerer. Someone just meticulously working on this little thing for a long period of time, just for the sake of the game, just for love of the game. I mentioned Harry Davis earlier. I think that had he not gone schizophrenic and crazy, I think he probably would have ended up more in this cast than in the priest cast. But God gave him some sort of divine madness and elevated him to the priest cast, or so he would say. The last type for the third estate is the humble journeyman. Now, it's a pretty blurry line between this and the tinkerer.
What is a journeyman? Is this someone that just goes around like a traveler?
The journeyman, I would say, is a lot more contented, a lot less neurotic, a lot less nitpicky. The journeyman is very independent.
Oh, never mind. I'm dumb as fuck. Like an electrician or some shit, like a construction person?
Oddly, probably the most independent of any of these fourth level maintaining orientation types, where they kind of just want to be left alone, wander around, and ply their trade. You see this a lot in tradesmen, welders, construction workers, more so the skilled trades and unskilled trades. Like construction requires some skill, but especially, like I said, welders, engineers, electricians, these practical hands-on people who still have...
Joseph Fritz was probably like this guy. He was probably like a journeyman.
A lot of skills. These are the people who want to keep the trade and maintain commerce. So these people are the backbone of any...
Probably like a journeyman, or he's about to get into the peasant class, so he was probably really like a peasant.
Of an industry. Historical examples would be someone like Leonardo da Vinci. I think you could make the case for him being a tinkerer, but I think he fits well enough here, as well as Clint Eastwood and Nick Offerman, both very diligent craftsmen, but very much of that traditional independent masculine.
Isn't this guy like a character from a TV show?
And cowboy spirit that you see a lot in these journeyman, tradesman, welder types. All right, and that brings us to the fourth estate. Everyone else, the Shudra peasantry. The first type we have here.
All right, this everybody else. This us, the majority.
Is the elite of the commoners. I call it the innkeeper, the one who seeks...
The elite of the commoners, the innkeeper.
To build the folk and establish culture. These are the great party hosters. These are the big, smiling, friendly people. At their worst, they're gonna be your homeowners association people, your PTA parents.
Hell no, this is not me. This is not us, Chad. This is not us.
Karens, but that is just an excess of this energy. When it's properly understood and when it's properly integrated into the life, the innkeeper energy can be great, really great for careers. One celebrity example I can think of for this would be Fred Rogers. Big, friendly smile, very open. I think a good contrast with that might...
Hell no, that guy looks like a PDF file.
Be someone like Mr. Beast. You might think of him...
Oh, fuck no, but yeah, he does fit the innkeeper. He does fit the innkeeper archetype.
As more of a merchant type, and he certainly does care a lot about the numbers and the money, but I think that his whole attitude and orientation, being not towards a specific skill or technology, but more so just entertaining people, puts him in this type, very much wanting to bring people together. We have a more common cultural parallel to the king archetype, less about bringing people together for a political or military end, but more about bringing people together for a just casual, fun, cultural party. Next, we get to the huntsman, the one who seeks to grow the folk and spread culture. This type can often be confused for one of the warrior caste types because they are often quite warlike and combative. Nice rectangular Mars, face shapes, strong bodies, darker skin tones for their phenotype because they spend a lot of time outdoors. These are your natural hunters, fishermen, outdoorsmen, all the pioneers. Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, Ernest Hemingway. These people seek to go out in the world and secure resources.
See, this is a cool archetype. I think this is a cool archetype. For the peasant class, I would probably fit in. Probably not, because I've never done no hunting in my life. But I feel like this what I would want to be like.
For their friends, family, their folk, and their villages. These are the people who go out and spread into the world. These are the pioneers, the lumberjacks, the people who want to get those resources and bring them in, who want to expand out their cultural and folkish domain. I would say Matt Walsh probably fits in this domain as well, in the sense of being an aggressive driving force for his culture. When you look at his stuff, he doesn't actually care that much about power politics. Nick Fuentes cares about power politics. And while I neglected to mention him in the discussion discussion of the prince archetype, I think he fits it very well. A little feminine, very refined, cares a lot about his appearance, and he is very concerned on
He just called Nick gay.
reforming politics, and he's concerned with political power structures, Israel and America. And
Watching video about peasants saying that's literally me.
different things. Matt Walsh cares more about school board meetings and Disney Plus shows because he's a peasant. He's a Shudra. He doesn't really care that much about power politics or about war or military stuff.
Bro, we're all just peasants, bro. In reality, we're all just peasants.
He cares about the art, about culture and the folk and the common people like him. Speaking of art, that gets us to the 15th type, the bard, the one who seeks to heal the folk by reforming culture. This is
what is this, like musicians?
great type. A lot of celebrities and famous people are in this type, which kind of helps out.
Oh, this is like the influencer, celebrity, like, okay. Like TikToker.
Illustrate that the caste hierarchy is distinct from mere measures of wealth and status, especially in our modern inverted American society. Examples of this would be people like William Shakespeare, and of course a lot of the more
Shout out Shakespeare, man. Wasn't he gay though?
modern singers and crooners. Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, the Beatles, maybe people like George Harrison or John Lennon got a little more into the shaman side over time. And to give a contrasting example for another Goyish Daily Wire host, I mentioned Matt Walsh before, you can very easily see how Michael Knowles is a bard. So you have two contrasting kinds of peasant here. You have Matt Walsh, the huntsman, a big gruff guy in the family with a beard. And then you have Michael Knowles, this soft, sensitive, narrow-faced theater kid playing a ukulele. That's classic huntsman-bard dichotomy. And now we finally get to number 16, the commoner. This is the one who seeks to keep the folk and
This is us. This is us, chat, right here. This is us. Yup, this is us.
maintain culture. They don't care about religion. They don't care about politics. They don't even care that much about making a ton of money
Nah, I'm kidding, bro. That's. I don't think this is us, chat. I don't think this is us.
or getting really good at one skill. They just want to keep living the good life. They want to have some cold ones with the boys. They want to go fishing. They want to go.
This is like your NPC. Look up pictures of Tiny Tim. Bro, what? Ew, what the fuck? Who the hell is this? Isn't this the guy that sings Tiptoe Through the... Bro, he actually looks disgusting, I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Hunting, but they don't really care about expanding their domain like the huntsman does or protecting their family. They're just going along to get along. I don't know if these people would exactly be the majority in society, like a full 51%. They're definitely a significant plurality, though, and they're definitely
He falls under the last one, whatever, the bonder or whatever it's called.
the most common type because society runs well with these guys because they will follow the leadership of the wizard.
The bard, but he looks scary as fuck.
The kings, the architects, any of these other types who need to organize society and tell them what to do in religion, in politics, in economics. They're good to go along with it. And as a result, I couldn't really find or think of any good historic examples of this. They're just the average people, the NPCs, if you want to use kind of a harsh term, which I don't necessarily agree with because these people do have drives and hopes and dreams and desires, but they're just interested in the here and now, in the ordinary stuff. If you're of this type, it might be discouraging to you to find that you are technically on the bottom of the hierarchy, if you want to interpret it in those terms. But it's actually good news if you're looking into career stuff because it's easiest for commoners to get a career, especially in this day and age. There's lots of jobs open for you because they're very grounded people. They'll often have a squat earth face shape. They'll have a shorter nose, and they'll be very interested in on-the-ground realities, which is good for a job. Corporate leaders nowadays don't really want
This how you know that's not me. My nose big as fuck. I'm damn near Jewish with my nose.
to hire someone who's super into politics or divine truth, although there are still roles for that out there, but you have to be a lot more entrepreneurial for that. So what do you think of my system of 16 archetypes? If you want to download the full chart, you can get it for free on my Patreon.
Dude, I don't even know which one I would fucking be. Which one do you think you are, Don Strauss?
Just follow the link down there and you can see it, download it. Let me know in the comments which of these 16 archetypes you think you are and which one you think I might be on. I don't know, I could be a number of these. I'm keeping it secret. Y'all try to figure it out. If you want to get a...
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely a combination of a lot of these. The Leon Trotsky-Sam Haidt connection grows. Bro, they look so alike, it's crazy.